So I know what you're thinking, it's an anagram for Undertale. Everyone and their mom knows that. Except for one thing. You're wrong. Well, probably, anyways. This video is going to claim that the word Deltarune actually came first. That the reason it's called Deltarune is not just because it was the most coherent string of letters that popped out when Toby Fox typed Undertale into an anagram generator. There's actual substance behind the title, and actual reasons to assume that Undertale, the word, is the anagram for Deltarune. Look, we've got like 3 weeks until the next chapters come out, and then we'll have to lock in and actually make coherent theories as opposed to crackpot ones. So let's just have some fun while we can, and ask the question, why is it called Deltarune? So, why do I think the word Deltarune came first? To be clear, as far as I know, there's no actual hard evidence out there to prove or disprove this theory, but we can connect a few dots. For one, we know that Deltarune was originally conceived by Toby Fox after having a literal fever dream about the ending to a video game in 2011. He woke up and was inspired to make that dream into a reality, but it was a bit too ambitious, so instead he decided to make a game with 93 endings. Now, the Deltarune itself is in fact a rune, a mark of mysterious or magic importance. As with many runes in fiction and the real world, the Deltarune seems to crudely depict a prophecy associated with it. Specifically, the part of the legend foretelling that 3 heroes appear to banish the angel's heaven. The part at the top with the wings is clearly meant to represent an angel, obviously, and we can assume that these 3 triangles represent the heroes. This is even more clear looking at the Deltarune on the mat of Chris's room in the castle town. The colors here directly match with the colors of our heroes, with the upwards triangles representing the Lightners, and the one upside down one representing Ralse, a Darkner. And in the chapters 1 through 4 trailer, we can clearly see an animation of our 3 heroes encountering a biblically accurate looking angel, spreading its wings to reveal an eye in a similar fashion to the one on the Deltarune. And in case you still weren't convinced that this symbol represents this specific part of the prophecy, on the Deltarune.com website in 2016, years before Chapter 1 came out and before anyone knew this game existed, there was nothing but an image directly stating this specific part of the legend in Wingding's font. So, the Deltarune is directly linked with this part of the prophecy in particular, directly depicting this scene. I believe this is the scene that Toby saw in his original fever dream, a bizarre climactic ending to an epic video game. The Deltarune also happens to appear prominently throughout Undertale, acting as a recurring design motif for the Monster Kingdom. Its main design has remained unchanged this entire time, going all the way back to the original demo version of Undertale from 2013. On the Kickstarter page for this demo, Toby wrote that any leftover fundraising money would go towards extending Undertale's world through a potential future game. We know from later interviews that it was always Toby's intention to incorporate his fever dream ending into this future game, which is, exactly what ended up happening. In this same interview, Toby revealed that he had originally tried to make his fever dream game before ever starting Undertale, using character designs that would eventually become the Chapter 1 Darkners, although he gave up during the conceptual stage. It's fair to assume that he would have come up with the Deltarune symbol, and maybe even the Deltarune title, at this time, again, before Undertale. But we can go even farther. If the scene depicted on the Deltarune is what Toby Fox saw in his 2011 fever dream, then it's pretty likely he woke up and sketched his dream out so he wouldn't forget. Of course, with limited artistic ability and no concrete character designs yet, the Deltarune cast wouldn't be designed until like 2015, I think. But basically, he didn't have any character designs. We know that he's not that great of an artist. That's why he has Temmie do most of his stuff. So what he would end up drawing would probably be just a simple assortment of shapes that he eventually boiled down into a vaguely Hylian inspired insignia, a rune, if you will, the Deltarune. Fast forward a bit, and after failing to make his game about the Deltarune, Toby decides to tackle a smaller project, intending from the start to make it an alternate universe to have more freedom with the story. He throws the words Deltarune into an anagram generator and realizes he could call it Undertale. I mean, let's be honest, the most arbitrary part about Undertale's premise is the fact that the monsters were all sealed underneath one mountain. So there is the conspiracy theory, that Deltarune came first, and Undertale is the anagram. With all that in mind, you get to the actual meat and potatoes of what this could imply. Why did he call this funny symbol the Deltarune? Well, we have half the answer. It's a rune. Only the most insightful commentary on this channel, I know. So we just have to focus on the word delta. The fourth letter in the Greek alphabet, it looks like a triangle, and there are triangles on the rune itself, so that's something. But of course, if you're unfortunate enough to have to deal with moderately more complex math classes above a basic algebraic level, you probably know that delta is used to denote the difference between two values, or in other words, change. Delta means change. That's very interesting, because as far as Deltarune the game is concerned, there's not a lot of change we can do compared to Undertale. After all, we have to fulfill this prophecy and banish the angels' heaven. If you want to link this directly to the prophecy, you could relate this to a popular theory that Gaster is connecting us to the world of Deltarune to fulfill this legend that would otherwise not have come to fruition without our and Gaster's intervention, making the legend of Deltarune a prophecy that can only be fulfilled once something has changed. Looking at this change as a larger theme of the story, we catch the characters of Hometown at a point in their lives where things are changing a lot. Chris's brother is off to college, but he's going to be returning soon. Chris's life has changed in the meanwhile, but how will Asriel have changed also? On top of that, Noelle is dealing with her father's illness, and let's be honest, he's probably gonna die by the end of this game. How will that change things? I can imagine that Chris and Noelle might be motivated to escape to Dark Fountains in order to run from or even try to revert the overwhelming changes consuming their real lives. This isn't the only interesting meaning we can derive from the word delta. It's also a word that describes a river formation, like the basalt deltas in Minecraft. Yeah, that's how I learned what this word means. This is very interesting, actually, considering all of the water symbolism we see throughout Deltarune's world. The fountains, the depths image, the song from the sea. You guys know this stuff. You click on this video. Not only that, but a delta is specifically, as far as I was able to derive from the definition that popped up on Google, it's the part at the mouth of the river where it diverges into several outlets. Now, the idea of diverging paths in a similar way to the idea of change, it clashes with the idea that Deltarune only has one ending and that our choices don't matter. Overall, it doesn't really seem like Deltarune will be the type of game that Undertale was, with many branching different routes. But we don't actually know that. All we know is that there's only one ending, and even then, we don't actually really know that. There's this ominous question mark here in the Steam description ever since Chapter 2's Weird Route was introduced. Maybe that's up in the air too, and it was only true for Chapter 1 because Toby didn't want people in 2018 trying to find the genocide ending to his game that didn't have a different route. But if there is only one ending, the ending depicted in Toby Fox's dreams and drawn up on the Deltarune symbol, perhaps it's more of an inevitability. No matter how many branching rivers you travel down, it all leads to one predetermined ending. But honestly, I'm more interested in hearing what you guys think of this. I spend most of my time here trying to justify why I think there's a deeper meaning to Deltarune's name, but I'd like to hear what sort of theories and implications you guys can derive from it down in the comments or on our Discord server. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can join the Patreon for as little as $1 a month to get access to all of the videos early. I post Deltarune related content every single week, and as we're gearing up for the next chapters, I'll be posting even more frequently, most likely. So subscribe for weekly Deltarune content. Thanks for watching till the end, and I'll see you all in the next one.